Good evening and welcome to Special Assignment. I'm your host, Ashraf Garda. In the final chapter of our investigation into irregularities relating to the illegal conversion of panel vans into taxis, we look at the alleged regulatory failures at government level and its parastatals. The taxi recapitalization program, which was first announced in 1999, was meant to improve public transport safety standards and replace about 80% of minibus taxis. However, as our expose has revealed in previous programs, some saw an opportunity for a quick buck by illegally converting panel vans and selling them to unsuspecting taxi owners. In this program, we look at how the Department of Transport specifically tried to address this issue. Did the department bend its own rules to allow these conversions? This investigation by producer Peter Moyo.
In Khayelitsha, Cape Town, former taxi boss Hamilton Zwelivanzi takes a moment to take stock of his losses. The past 3 years have been challenging for him and his family. It all started when he decided to upgrade his taxi fleet in 2008.
I saw this thing on the paper, the advert. After my van that I had, we had an accident and it was a write-off. So now I decided to go for the same capacity that I had on that 16-seater van. Now, this one, when I phoned them, they say, no, we've got a van because I saw it on paper. We've got the Quantum that is already been converted into a taxi. What you can do is just to deposit the money into our account.
The deal was financed through SA Taxi, one of the biggest money lenders in the country. So Zwelivanzi's actions were a direct response to government's taxi recapitalization program. This ambitious project sought to replace the aging and often unsafe taxis. Taxi owners who participated in it received 50,000 as deposit for a new taxi, while the old ones were removed from South African roads. Almost at the same time, Toyota launched the Quantum Sesfigile, which became the vehicle of choice for many taxi owners. However, some unscrupulous dealerships and bodybuilders also started converting the Toyota Quantum panel van, almost identical to the Sesfigile, selling it for almost twice the price. This was the same vehicle sold to Hamilton Zwelivanzi. It was not long before his new taxi started giving him problems.
It was a very terrible scene. You see those vans chewing on the road. The cops, especially Sundays afternoon, they stop each and every one of them.
More than 1,000 kilometers away from Zwelivanzi's home, Thomson Selepe is counting the cost of his venture into the taxi industry. It was a West Bank financing deal gone sour.
Bothata bo tsweletse di ntse di tsamaya dikoloi tse go ka re mo di radio nkile go bolela or mo di TV go bolela gore dikoloi tse a di illegaletse o bona then maphodisa thoma go stopa di driver ba stopa le driver ya ka ba ne koloi a se yona ka no khotlela ka re nna ke rekile go mekhathi ile so a se nna a ka convert ke krele intse le bjana.
I was shocked at first. I was thought maybe they jealousy or it's because I'm from Cape Town and my van is registered in Cape Town.
Khirro patla mochelo ba hana ba ke panel van ba gona furniture.
The trust is gone. And the people, when they look at you as if you're robbing them by using the van, but the van, it looks good, but they don't know deep details about it. So that's the way you lose everything.
We engaged Frank Hebon, a German engineer, to examine Thomson Selepe's taxi. The vehicle failed all the simple tests.
Seats completely loose. Wrong material, fastening material used. No tightening brackets, no support. That's why these seats is ripping out already like this out of the floor without even having an accident. The vehicle is not fit for being converted as a bus.
Thomson Selepe says he tried to approach Westbank for a recourse, but has so far not succeeded.
Ke try le go bolela le bona mara ka kry le pele a re kopane ene gantši batho ba di-business tse kgolo tsa go tshwana le bo Mercator bo Westbank o ya mo mang.
Westbank declined to comment on specific cases, saying they have tried to help affected customers through various stakeholders like taxi associations and the Department of Transport initiatives. Meanwhile, it's been 3 years since Hamilton Zwelibanzi returned his unroadworthy vehicle to SA Taxi. He has since been listed with the Credit Bureau.
All my things that I used to go to the bank and borrow some money, now if I'm trying to go to the bank, they say, yo, you blacklisted. By whom? Taxi Finance.
He has tried to approach SA Taxi to no avail.
You know, only thing they did is to send one person this week and the other one over the phone demanding money. Why are you not paying? The question, the answer is with them.
Hamilton Zwelibanzi's case against SA Taxi is now being investigated by the National Consumer Commission. He's claiming 4 million rands for loss of income and defamation of character.
So why did the Department of Transport change its mind about recalling these vehicles? Find out after this.
Investigations by special assignment have found no less than 100 fatal taxi accidents involving all these illegally converted panel vans. In this scrapyard alone, more than 40 of these taxis have been dumped here. Experts say most accidents could have been averted had the government taken heed of Toyota's warning letter in 2005. In the letter, Toyota warns of the dangers associated with these conversions. From their own point of view, these conversions are illegal and unsafe. We approached Toyota to further understand why they were against this practice.
It takes us between 7 and 9 years to develop a vehicle. So the Sesfikile and the Quantum that we introduced in 2007 was already planned in the late 1990s. And it takes us literally billions of dollars, tens of crash tests, etc., to develop a vehicle. So we cannot, as a company and as part of the global Toyota Motor Corporation, approve a conversion or a vehicle that's retrofitted with anything.
The warning also seemed to have been ignored by dealerships and all financial institutions. By late 2009, a Department of Transport investigation revealed the following. SA Taxi had financed 484 illegal taxis. Toyota itself, despite being against these conversions, also financed 419. Nedbank and Motor Finance Corporation financed 139, Westbank 149, Standard Bank 248. ABSA 123 and other financed the remaining 791. Most financial institutions approached for comment refused television interviews, but argued they did not know these vehicles were being converted. In 2009, 4 years since the start of these illegal conversions, the Department of Transport finally took action.
We are actually calling for their withdrawal, withdrawing the operating licenses of all affected vehicles and recalling these vehicles with immediate effect.
Special Assignment is in possession of an internal report that forced the then Minister of Transport into action. His pronouncements, a direct response to a damning report by the department's engineers tasked to investigate the illegal conversions.
These illegal taxis are being operated in contravention of the National Land Transportation Transition Act. These panel vans, which have been converted illegally, are a danger to the community, are a danger to the nation, as well as the commuter, who is our most important client in public transport. In the event of a road crash, the damage and severity of injury in the case of illegal panel vans transporting commuters is far more severe when compared to a minibus taxi, which complies with the prescribed safety regulations.
Most importantly, the engineers further cautioned that no corrective measures could make these vehicles any safer.
The department will conduct an investigation of all dealers who change the status of vehicles from panel vans to passengers carrying vehicles. The department will, with immediate effect, block all transactions relating to panel vans.
In their final recommendations, the engineers urged the minister to recall these vehicles and to stop the panel van conversions.
Our probe includes the following: the validity of claims that illegally converted vehicles entered the system through the operating licensing boards, the number of illegally converted vehicles operating as taxis. We need to know exactly what are we talking about here. The number of illegal taxis that have been financed.
A few months passed with no further word on the issue. However, in 2010, the then Deputy Minister Jeremy Cronin announced a task team had convinced the government to change its mind about the recall. Interestingly though, the government preferred to act against the recommendations from their own experts.
Based on the work of this task team, the team has now recommended a process whereby these illegal panel vans can undergo a further conversion process, a retrofit, if you like, a process, and can therefore become legalized taxis that are indeed compliant with the taxi recapitalization program.
The bracket is actually to the chassis, so there's a bracket that goes into the reinforcement.
But was this process legal in terms of the National Road Traffic Act? Why did the department change its mind? We returned to Toyota to get a view on this new government initiative.
We'll happily look at the retrofitments, but we cannot, as a company, put our stamp on that. That would be the role of the regulatory bodies.
Who initiated these retrofitments? In submissions made to Special Assignment, SA Taxi admits that it initiated the idea and approached government. The question to ask is why? The most probable answer is that SA Taxi, who financed 484 of these illegal vehicles, stood to lose over 100 million if government had gone ahead with the recall of these illegal taxis. Henny de Beer, who has already lodged a complaint with the public protector, expressed his shock.
Department of Transport, to listen to a bank to do a retrofitment on an illegally converted vehicle, should ask the first question, why is that bank pushing to have these retrofitments now approved? They should have asked that question. And the second question should have been, where is Toyota South Africa? Why are they not party to this meeting?
The National Taxi Alliance, whose members are heavily affected, has no kind words for the Department of Transport.
We think the government went about it the wrong way. Once they realized that those vans were sold illegally, they should not have colluded with some fitment centers to do refit and some taxi organizations to say we can correct by refitting and so on. Already people were behind with their installments and so on.
Did the government break its own rules, and why? All this and more coming up.
In our last program, a German engineer showed how dangerous these conversions were.
This is a converted vehicle where the windows is cut out here. In the moment the windows is cut out and they fit a rubber-mounted window in, the panels open up. And through the opening up of the panels, it doesn't have the support. You get a body twist because of these panels. Further on, this is the holes what is drilled for the seat anchorage. These holes are not supported underneath at all. That means the only thing what holds the seat is the floor panel. This converted panel van doesn't have the same structure, floor structure, like on this one. This one has a reinforced structure. You can see the two beams in the middle. This one only have one. The floor on the panel van is much weaker than what it is on the converted vehicles. It's two different structures. The panel van is not fit to be converted as a bus. You can see here the low quality of manufacturing with very small washers, 8mm balls. These balls, they hold between 40 and 60 kilos each. Here you can see how the seats has folded forward from the accident where people got hurt. Toyota fits in these buses more roof trusses in than in the panel vans in case of a rollover. Do not climb in these vehicles. They are absolute danger on the road. Anybody climbing in one of these vehicles is potentially dead. In Europe, it would have been taken within days off of the road and scrapped, and the responsible people would have been in court.
The investigation on the regulatory failures within the Department of Transport by the Public Protector, Tulima Donsela, is now at an advanced stage. The complainant, Henny De Beer, is hoping this will finally put the matter to rest.
The report will talk to specific remedies for individuals, and then we'll talk about just remedies to deal with the system itself, the structural problems. If the conduct of people needs to be corrected, we will say so. If people need to be trained, if the rules need to be strengthened, etc., we will then have that in the final report.
The rules that govern the process of converting a vehicle, also known as the homologation process, have been called into question. Experts argue that the government acted illegally when it allowed these Toyota panel vans to be retrofitted.
The first process is to approach Toyota to get a letter that you can make a conversion on a specific vehicle model, like a panel van converting into a bus. My approach was years ago, and Toyota told me they do not allow anybody to convert a Toyota panel van into a bus. They're importing a bus which is available over the Toyota dealers, and they do not allow anybody to convert a panel van. So if I do not get that letter from Toyota, I cannot go to the NRCS to apply for homologation. It stops right there.
However, the National Regulator for Compulsory Specifications, also known as the NRCS, a government parastatal that implements laws that deal with vehicle conversions, begs to differ.
In terms of our legislation, we have to be satisfied that a panel van converter has done everything that is supposed to be done in order to do the conversion in that vehicle. So there's no requirement in our legislation that you must go now and approach the original manufacturer of that vehicle.
Do you think it's shocking?
Which part?
The original manufacturer of this vehicle has spent billions to test this vehicle and knows all the weak points, especially of this quantum panel van vis-a-vis the SABC, and you don't see any reason to go and actually consult that person.
Okay, it actually depends as to what you want to consult with.
The Road Traffic Act, as explained under the South African National Standard 10267, is quite clear. According to the Act, in order to homologate a vehicle, a sample must be supplied for evaluation, supported by a large body of documented evidence provided by the original manufacturer. In the case of the quantum panel van, Toyota,
they interpreted the law incorrectly. On the internet site that is provided by NRCS, it says there, the original manufacturer, not the original bodybuilder, the original manufacturer of that vehicle, which will in this case be Toyota Japan, has to supply the necessary supporting documents of the tests being done in that country on that vehicle.
There is evidence that the Department of Transport, the South African Bureau of Standards, SABC, and NRCS initially tried to get Toyota's permission to do the retrofitments in 2009. Toyota bluntly refused to issue the letter of approval for the conversions. To further clarify the issue, we approached Toyota to understand how they viewed the request.
We cannot, as a company and as part of the Global Toyota Motor Corporation, approve a conversion or a vehicle that's retrofitted with anything.
Toyota cannot say to us, we did not do our homologation process properly, because they don't have the mechanism of what process we have followed. We are the one who have done the homologation process. In fact, even Toyota himself, he comes to us for the homologation process. So that is just an opinion of someone out there.
Do you want to see any criminal charges being brought against anyone?
Peter, definitely, without doubt. It will not bring back the lives of the people that has been lost. And that is the sad part of this whole thing. Even criminal actions will not help. But it will be good, and it will be a good deterrent if people in government can be held liable for their actions. You know, they paid by the taxpayer. Surely they can protect the taxpayer as well. And in this case, where they failed the taxpayer, they should be charged criminally.
I would always welcome any investigation, because as I indicated before, and I said to the public protector, we are satisfied that as an NRCS, when we did the homologation process, we have done in terms of our legislation, and when we have issued the homologation certificate, we were comfortable that those vehicles are complying with our requirement as the regulator.
We would say to the government, do the honorable thing. Something seriously wrong happened with the manufacturing, selling, financing and licensing of these panel vans. And in many instances, many people lost their lives and the taxi industry was blamed. The correct thing to do, come up with a commission of inquiry, get the facts. Then after the commission of inquiry has concluded its work, then come up with a restitution and let everybody involved pay.
Despite numerous attempts to secure an interview, Special Assignment had not heard from the Department of Transport at the time of going to air. The other taxi organization which endorsed the retrofitment, Santaco, also failed to avail itself for an interview.
Now, the public protector, Thuli Madonsela, has just completed her public outreach and investigation on this issue. We certainly hope this will bring closure to those affected. Well, what is your opinion on this issue? You can tweet using the hashtag Special Assignment. You can also post a comment on our Facebook page, or you can email us. And on Friday at 2:30 p.m, I'll do a follow-up discussion on my SAFM radio show. Well, finally, I've picked out two comments on our story last week regarding Kenya's slum survivors. Aisha van Wyk wrote on Facebook, "This is so sad, so sad." And then you get people who don't appreciate what they've got. They just want more when they already have. And Amelia Milligan commented saying, "Thank you to Special Assignment that always keeps us aware of the hardship people face and cares enough to go into the areas and tell the people's stories. We so easily forget that there are people out there that live in inhumane conditions." Well, that's it from me. Join us again next week when we point out the issues that matter.